Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am back! I bet you didn't think I would be for another holiday edition of Cartoon Limbo. And neither did I. Turns out my retirement is taking a wee bit longer to finalize than I originally thought. 8 years longer. Thankfully, I had an emergency script to fall back on, and oh by gosh, by golly, did I unearth a once-beloved relic of the past. Opus and Bill's A Wish for Wings That Work. Try saying that 5 times fast. Hell, just trying to say it one time normal speed is hard enough. So, without further ado, let us dive right into this comic strip turned...
Hey, DJ! Don't you think you're forgetting something?
No, not to my knowledge.
Where is your festive ugly sweater and the silly hat?
Oh, well, given the circumstances surrounding this review, you know, it being a review that wasn't even supposed to be on my schedule originally, and given I am rushing to get it done in time for Christmas, I thought I'd, dial it back some, make it more intimate, less complicated.
Well, that sucks! We want to see an ugly sweater and a silly hat!
You think that maybe just one stinking year that I might want to take a little break from lowering and demeaning myself on camera?
We're not watching until you put on an outfit!
Fine.
Dress up, monkey!
There! Now are you satisfied?
Don't forget the smile! There you go, DJ Clive. That's why you're our favorite pack mule. Now stop stalling and get to work!
Back in the early to mid-'80s, after the astounding success of the Garfield specials, it seemed as if all comic strips were giving primetime animation a try. Ziggy, Blondie, and I can swear Doonesbury and Kathy were there too. Most of these hit with an audible thud. I surmise mostly because of audience alienation of the source material.
And as a child, yeah, I read the funny pages every day, but I didn't get Blondie. I didn't laugh at Doonesbury. While I enjoyed the art, I was way too young for their mature sensibilities. They were way over my nubile, stupid little head.
I gravitated towards Garfield, Marmaduke, Heathcliff, Peanuts to a lesser extent. Sometimes its humor was beyond my understanding, but its presentation, its whole package was pleasing to a child reader such as myself. Which brings me to the daily strip second from the top of the page called Bloom County. Bloom County was another one of those comics, the ones which appealed, this one quite heavily, to the older demographic. Everything coming out the mouths of these characters was like a biting social commentary, always very topical, always very political, always very alienating to a child following. But, unlike something like Doonesbury, the typical child could not help but be charmed by its style and its characters. The cute little squatty penguin character, the wide-eyed lockjawed cat who looks like his claws had struck an electrical socket. It had an undeniably friendly style about it, and amidst many of the hurriedly drawn comics of the funny pages, it stood out like a carefully drawn work of art. As a child, I didn't pay Bloom County a lot of mind. But because it looked so cool, a part of me always wished that I could understand it. I wished that I could stretch my legs in its world. If only I were more intellectual. And to add to that, Bloom County had the balls to kill off one of its popular characters, Bill the Cat. That was pretty big news at the time. You didn't see anything like that out the other comic strips. Hell, most of they didn't even have any kind of story or continuity. Even those who weren't readers on the regular knew that little tidbit, and it gave Bloom County just that much more intrigue.
That all being said, it's still weird that this exists. The Bloom County Christmas Special, A Wish for Wings That Work. Yeah, it's easy to think these characters are so damn merchandisable. Why not market they to a young audience? But, at the same time, do you do that? Do you completely alienate your core audience and make something aimed at the kiddies? Nah, Nah, you shouldn't do that, right? No, you should stick to those adult sensibilities and portray these characters the way they were meant to be portrayed. But, then again, who watches Christmas specials in the first place? Kids! Kids who will have just finished watching the Charlie Brown special and whose eyes are still glued to the sets! But yet, it's a Bloom County special. And yet, the words Bloom County are nowhere to even be seen in the title! Alright, before my head explodes, obviously they did something right, because here I am staring at a DVD case! Let's see firsthand what they ended up with in Opus and Bill's A Wish for Wings That Work.
It is winter in the ramshackle little town known as Bloom County, where good-mannered penguin Opus dreams of the one thing that would plague a creature such as he. He wishes to fly, like most other more fortunate birds out there. Not making his situation any easier, he is repeatedly taunted and mocked by a trio of ducks who rub their aerodynamic feathers in the poor aquabird's face. The only support he has is in Bill the cat, a muted feline science experiment whom Opus rescued from dissection. Bill, in his infinite wisdom, wishes to repay Opus for his kindness, but what can he do? He can only destroy everything he touches. Opus has tried everything, from his own failed flight experiments to joining a self-help group for flightless birds. Ultimately, he turns to Santa Claus for a miracle. Santa is a magical being capable of making wishes come true for children all over the world. But Opus's dilemma is truly one of a kind. What can Santa possibly do for our cute little Antarctic friend? Will he ever have his dream Christmas amidst the clouds?
It's been a good 30 years or so since I've last seen this special, and going in, I really didn't remember a whole lot about it. But there was one thing I knew, even after all these years. The animation in this special is capital G, Orgios.
I still remembered that first impression going in, the shot of Bill the cat shambling into frame, immediately thinking to myself, wow, they're not about to half-ass this. This is the way animation should look, folks. Those frames fly by at a dizzying speed. Movements are gestured, yet smooth. The lines, for the most part, stay consistent, making these characters look realistic and three-dimensional. Truly an impressive feat when you've got such a zigzaggy character such as Bill the cat, who is so scribbly he looks like he's being taken over by the phalanx. To make he move around, to keep those lines consistent with minimal flickering, is an astounding effort. Most of the other characters, including Opus the penguin, have this soft, round quality, and they move around with the fluidity of squishy marshmallows. I picture they having the textures of Cabbage Patch Kids or my dog Swinkies, practically boneless in their softness. When I view any type of animation and experience something so tactile, that is a major score. That's easily an extra star or two towards that rating. This animation is theatrical. And no, I'm not talking about Disney or Don Bluth. I'm talking about the kind you see in the opening credits or interstitials. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honeymoon in Vegas, or One Crazy Summer. The kind of work that is just good enough to be seen on a big-ass screen.
The art, as well, is spot-on perfect.
Mimicking the artistry of Berkeley Breathed, the man who penned Bloom County, is a pretty tall order, but they nailed it. I try to put myself in the head of the animator and ask, what must this job have been like? To copy such a specific style and put it into animation must have been a truly daunting task. But at the same time, maybe it was a bit easier. Look at something like Garfield. Garfield is stylized, perhaps easier to approximate, but is also very formulaic. In the comic strip, Jim Davis only drew Garfield from 3 angles: straight ahead, 3/4 view, and the rear. When you have to animate that, you have no frame of reference for the shots that go in between. Case in point, when I freeze frame, there's Garfield at side view. Look how freaking weird that looks! With Bloom County, Berkeley Breathed wasn't going back and recycling old drawings. He was drawing and redrawing his characters to make they accurate to the situations they were in, and make they spring to life off the printed page. There are drawings at every angle. Tons of reference shots equals more lifelike characters on screen, and I cannot applaud this enough. Kudos to Berkeley Breathed and the animators. You make a perfect team. On the subject of high production values, I have to give props to the music here as well. Yeah, a whole bunch of the tunes we hear in the background are classic keyboard MIDI, but the special does a bing-bang job instilling emotion through its music. As Opus laments his pathetic wingless life, we hear a very well-done blues soundtrack playing in the background, which gives this property a unique sense of character. If this were a long-running series, I would picture this to be the overall sound. Blues guitars, pianos, harmonicas, and the like. There's even a fun piece written for this special called The Flightless Earthbound Blues.
I woke up this morning, my wings ain't no use. My foot down on my shoes, I got those flightless earthbound blues.
It's a shame it only plays for a brief second. It really does fit the setting and its players, makes it feel like a universe unto itself. And during moments of heightened action, man, does this soundtrack get theatrical. It really does enthrall in those whimsical, magical moments, with musical flourish akin to an early John Williams score. I wonder what the heck it's doing here, but it's here, I welcome it with open wings, and it really does add. The voices do a good job fitting the characters, though I did find myself a little bit irritated by Opus's nebbish Woody Allen-style delivery by the end. Some things I will forever question, like why this strange pig character has the voice he does.
Always a pleasure to run into someone lower on the food chain.
So he's kinda a crackpot, and he has the voice of a distinguished Frenchman? Okay, just a big pile of random! And I swear, this Kiwi guy over here has to be an uncredited Robin Williams. Listen to this voice.
An albatross! Suck up an albatross! Yeah!
That's him, right? Let's skip to the end credits and see who really played him. Sudi Nim. Yes, a really obvious pseudonym. You can't fool me, Robin Williams. You know, come to think of it, that cross-dressing flea, he sounds kind of familiar too.
This is totally unnatural.
I'm not just blowing smoke. You saw it for yourself. This special looks and sounds impeccable. And when it comes to judging animation, nothing tickles my sugar plums more than high production values. But the story is a clever little thing. It doesn't matter if you spend a lifetime drawing every single cell to look so super realistic it's indistinguishable from reality. If that story sucks, none of it means a damn. Keep watching, young viewers. A wish for wings that work is not out of the woods yet.
Well, I do think the plot about a flightless bird imploring Santa Claus for a working set of wings is cute and clever. You know, often I've thought the same thing about penguins, ostriches, chickens, and the like. What a sense of freedom it must be to be born a bird, right? But what a drag it must be to be a bird who can't fly. It's like a blatant spit in the face. Proof the Lord has a dark sense of humor. Yeah, to be born a cricket or something like that is bad, but to be a flightless bird is like having that carrot dangling inches in front of your mouth your entire life. These creatures are truly damned! Now you suppose one of such creatures were anthropomorphic, able to speak his mind as a human would. You bet your ass he would have an enormous complex. Such a story is almost too easy, yet I can't think of another time this has been done. It's like the Doritos Loco Taco. We all knew we wanted it, it just took forever to get it. So as the story rolls on, we accompany young Opus on the trials of being a flightless bird, going to a self-help group, being heckled by birds who can fly, even trying to come up with alternate methods of flight, before in desperation turning to Santa Claus. I do like the setup, especially the way it's told in flashback. The special actually starts out with Opus writing the letter, and for the first half we work our way to how we got to this point.
A good way to do it, but you'll note, I said the first half.
These set pieces, though clever and full of wit, take up a lot of time. These are more or less mini Saturday Night Live skits which need their time to breathe, especially the self-help group. That section is the heart and soul of this special. Once we're back to present day, it would be one thing if Opus would just wake up the next morning and for the story to reach a climax. But of course, that's not the case. There's still a hell of a lot of story to go! Ugh! The pacing in these specials is such a tough thing to get right, especially with a property such as this. You've got all these characters the fans will be expecting to see. You've got all these ideas for clever skits you're also going to want to get in there. On top of that, you're dealing with a property geared more towards an adult sense of humor, but you have to make this accessible to the kiddies. You have to make it feel Christmassy, and you have to accomplish all of this in a meager half hour, minus commercials, 20 minutes and change. Not only is that an impossibility, but I think that this special often makes the wrong decisions in choosing what to do with its time. There is a lengthy section smack dab in the middle of this special. A dream sequence, which is actually half live action, pulled from an old black and white movie from 1937 called Lost Horizon. The animation nerd in me loves every second of this. The sheer quality of it is almost on par with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. While I do love it, for a half-hour special, it's too damn long! I would have cut it in half, or even better, excised it completely. There are tons of things that need attention that get left by the wayside. There is some kind of drama happening between Opus and Bill. I'm keeping it vague because the special keeps it vague. Something about Bill feeling insignificant and trying to prove to him that he's worth something. In the end, they make a point to show us that this issue is resolved, and I'm left scratching my head saying to myself, there was an issue there? They needed to dwell on this more. Yeah, Bill the Cat is a mute, and there's only so much you can do, but we needed more than one scene of him trying to do the right thing. Realistically, this should be half the special. Bill just trying to help out his friend and screwing things up worse. Simplistic? Sure. A little boring? Maybe. But all we have is a half hour! We need to be scaling back! You go back and look at all the half-hour Christmas specials that work. They're all pretty bare bones when it comes to plot. This special needed to do the same. It could keep some of the scenarios, but overall, it needed to be the tale of two buddies going through some shit. And to put the cherry on the top, Bill's name is in the Verschlungener title! I don't know why, cause he's got nothing here! Nothing!
And before I get off this issue, I've got to say, by the rules of Christmas, as I've always been told, to get Santa Claus to give you something, you need to be a good person. Opus is not that great a person.
They go out of their way to tell us that Bill the Cat would be dead if not for Opus, that he was some scientific experiment gone awry and left for the trash. Well, they had to, because otherwise Opus thinks only about himself. Self! And the whole friction between he and Bill, it's not so much that Bill has to learn how to cheer up his sad, depressed, well-meaning little friend. It's more like Bill has to do something not to piss his overly sensitive friend the hell off! It's like Opus is looking at Bill the entire time like, you owe me big for what I did for you. You're gonna live the rest of your life trying to repay me and it'll never be enough! And the biggest crime, in the end, spoiler alert, Bill succeeds! And he doesn't even get a thank you! Opus is just off in his own little world enjoying himself, leaving poor Bill to look up at him longingly. You know, come to think of it, Bill never even did anything really that bad in the first place. He is a victim from start to finish! And by the end of the special, I felt bad for him! Where is his Christmas miracle?
As for the humor, that's the hardest thing to judge, isn't it? I say it again and again. Humor is subjective. Certain people find certain things funny, those same things might not be funny to someone else. But this special is a very, very, very rare bird. And I'm not talking about an albatross! That's right, I'm on to you, Mr. Williams.
You folks who watched my review on A Boy Named Charlie Brown, before it was sanctimoniously wiped from the wet, dirty ass that is YouTube, may remember I described that movie as an experience that grows up right along with you. And I was hoping something similar was going on here. As a kid, I giggled here and there at the slapstick of it, the antics of Bill with his two enormous garbage cans thrashing about, but that was about it. In terms of comedy, it left me flat. But I knew, even back then, Bloom County wasn't aimed at me. No, I'd have to grow older to really appreciate this work of art, see it with a new set of eyes. Well, with this review, I did just that, and I gotta say, while I do appreciate some scenes my younger self didn't quite understand, I didn't laugh any more than I did back then. I'm sorry, but I just don't find it very humorous. To me, it's got that odd problem where you can identify the jokes, the riffs, the comedy pratfalls, the humorous lines of dialogue as they start, but as they finish, you're just done with them. Anyone who has watched the old Fox TV show Flying Blind can tell you about this problem. That thing was the prime example. It's long-winded intellectual humor. And you add to that, I feel like a lot of the adult references I didn't get as a child are not so much humor as they are just adult references. Am I overthinking this a bit much? Hell yeah, but there's nothing else to do here in Limbo, and I'm sure there'll be some out there who will find the humor to be funny. But to me, the concept of cute, squatty cartoon characters speaking adult jargon is in the same vein as smart-talking kids, foul-mouthed old ladies, and nuns with guns. Just because it's a paradox doesn't mean that it's clever! But, as I said, subjective. I can't slam the special because I don't get the humor. Maybe that's my problem, right? Well, the thing is, even a comedy movie or special that doesn't make its viewer laugh out loud can still make one feel good. You watch a special like the Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas special. A majority of the humor is on the juvenile side and washes right over me without so much as a peep. But I still enjoy it. I would still recommend that you see it, because while you watch it, it feels good. And aside from a precious few sparse little moments in A Wish for Wings that work, I do not feel good as a result of the comedy. The good feelings I take away from this special, whether it's young me or old me, is in how it looks. I honestly wish, with this spectacular animation, it had leaned harder on the physical comedy than all that talky stuff. Maybe that's why I'm so high on Bill the Cat. He may not have made me laugh out loud, but he sure is fun to watch. But then again, had it done that, it wouldn't be Bloom County anymore. Again, catch-22.
Alright, so how did this comic strip turned holiday special fare? Will it huddle alongside you and warm your soul for the holidays? Or will it slide into the blue abyss like your penguin spirit animal? Slide! We'll see if A Wish for Wings that work works. 3 stars! I'll let y'all in on a little secret. It was not my original intention to review this.
I had given it a thought, as part of me believed it would be an interesting conversation piece, but I put that thought in a little lockbox and threw away the key. Because I had the perfect subject material for my Cartoon Limbo Christmas finale, Yogi's First Christmas. It would have been the ultimate crescendo after all these 4 years of reviewing Hanna-Barbera related properties. Did I like it? Did I hate it? That will forever remain a mystery. For Hanna-Barbera is a Warner Brothers property, and they retroactively started flagging all my old projects containing anything Hanna-Barbera. Top Cat the movie, one of my big successes, gone. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery? Hope y'all caught it in the month that it was up, cause that too went bye-bye. I could see they would target the Yogi Bear review next, so I took the liberty of pulling that one myself. Needless to say, reviewing Yogi's First Christmas was too risky a move, and why would I want to give them free publicity anyways? So I was forced to get myself a crowbar, pry open that lockbox, and revisit the Wish for Wings that work. Now you might wonder, why did I abandon this special in the first place, after I've previously said it would make for a stimulating review? Mainly because last year I crammed in a last-minute Thanksgiving review on a special called Intergalactic Thanksgiving, Please Don't Eat the Planet. And I've gotta tell you, the reasons why that special didn't work are identical to the reasons why this didn't work! Identical to the finest detail! Both had astounding production values, both had inventive ideas, both had interesting design and fun characters, but both suffered the fatal flaw of being too damn big for their itty-bitty half-hour runtimes. An extra half hour is crucial for a story like this, especially since it's going to take its time meandering in its lengthy comedy routines. By the time the geese or the ducks or whatever the hell they are, I'm going to say duck because one of them sounds like Plucky. By the time they get to Opus's house and lift him off into the stratosphere, I find myself muttering, "Oh my god, I can't believe it, this is actually wrapping up!" Because all its skits, like the self-help group and the dream sequence, take so much time, it feels like the story is going by in a hurry, and just as you start to get into it, it's done! Say the idea for this special is an egg. Well, the makers of this special took that egg and crafted it into a delicious omelet. Nothing wrong with a good omelet, it could fill you up until it's lunchtime. But you realize, in making it, they passed up the opportunity to incubate that egg, to take proper care and time to hatch it, nurture it, and make it into a grand turkey dinner that can feed a whole family! That makes this whole experience all the more frustrating! Just as an aside, using this analogy, if you were to do this, that's when you end up with something like the Miser Brothers. I hate to sound like the proverbial skipping record, but had they doubled the length, given us an extra 20 minutes or so, and filled that time the right way, that is, concentrate on the Opus and Bill relationship, add more Christmassy elements, and make Opus a bit more likable a guy, this would be a masterpiece! Hell, when you get right down to it, this is just like Rudolph, isn't it? A story about a lead character with a deformity, who gets flack for his deformity, and ends up saving the day with his deformity. A proven quantity, a recipe for success. At the same time, this also borrows a bit from Yogi's First Christmas. It centers around an animal main character in a battle against himself, trying to suppress natural instincts which all too often have gotten in the way, so that this one year he can truly enjoy Christmas. Now, like I said, I'm not reviewing that as much as I would have liked to, but I'll say this much. I like it better than this. And you know me, I'm the animation nerd! Yogi Bear looks like a tangled mess of chicken scratch and horse shit! So, why do these two specials work while this one, in my mind, fumbles? Because Rudolph and Yogi enjoyed the benefit of hour-long run times, giving they plenty of time to tell their stories while still affording they lots of wiggle room to lollygag about. The power of pacing, my friends. The funny thing is, as I go on and on about my younger self's first impressions of this special almost 3 decades ago, over time, my feelings towards it haven't changed much. It's got wit, it's got bite, it looks fabulous, but it's here and gone so fast, its impression's solely cosmetic. It leaves you going, whoa, what was that? Opus and Bill's A Wish for Wings That Work, me god, that title's another story altogether! Is still a triumphant special which is better than average, but that is only because of its animation. If this animation were any lesser, I would consider it a failure. It's the shiniest ornament on the tree that you are completely emotionally disconnected with. A Christmas oddity, to say the least.
There are sure to be those out there who right now are staring at me with phasers set to kill. I want to make it known, I like this special. I consider it a very mild success. Hell, compared to all the other crap I've watched for this show, this melts away at the Miser Brothers, stomps the cricket on the hearth flat, and owns a returning Frosty in the wry humor department. Compared to everything else? Well, if you were to put all the great holiday specials into some kind of tier system, at the top you have all your classics, Rudolph, Frosty, the Grinch, Charlie Brown. Below that, you'd have the ones that can be called classics, but are not required holiday viewing. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Mr. Magoo, Garfield, The Simpsons, stuff like that. I would put A Wish for Wings That Work right on the tier beneath that, reserved for specials that are good, but not regarded as classics. Shrek, Rugrats, Ziggy's Gift, all the Rudolph and Frosty prequels and sequels. Not bad company. Why I am so hard on this special then is, more than any of those other specials it shares its tier with, A Wish for Wings That Work, with some minor tweaks here and there, very easily could have been on that top tier. I said it, the top tier! The stuffy top tier that hasn't allowed any newcomers since the 1970s! And yeah, I know the relevance of Bloom County and Outland nowadays is debatable, but I think if it just managed its time a whole lot better and sprinkled in a little more Christmas, I think this would still be in syndication. I hate the phrase, but this special is what it is. Don't get me wrong, I applaud it for being different. I don't think it should compromise itself to become something it's not. This special is very self-aware and proud of what it is. A string of jokes punctuated by a light story. It works fine that way. But in my mind, I think it would have worked so much better, especially in a measly half-hour runtime, if they had flipped that around. A great story punctuated with humor. That could have been something really special. Had it just embraced just a tiny bit of that sameness from the classic holiday specials before it, I have no doubt we would still be seeing this on TV every year. Therein is my biggest frustration with A Wish for Wings That Work.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up what will likely be the final holiday edition of Cartoon Limbo. Nice to end it on a positive note for once. I invite you all to raise a hot chocolate and eggnog a festive holiday beer with me, and toast to 2018! As for the Bravo channel and what fate lay before it, I wish I knew. In fact, those of you who have been paying close attention behind the scenes know that there is a possibility. There may not be a Bravo channel in 2018. Whatever happens, from all of us to all of you, have a very Merry Christmas and a wondrous holiday season. And I hope to see you again in the upcoming year. With that, what's there left to say but, life is Ranma, I'll see you in Limbo, and until next time where I once again answer the question, have a good one guys, happy holidays. Salud! Let me get close to the camera and do this the right way. 3, 2, 1. Ha ha ha!
But enough boo-hooing about the future. What matters now is the now. It's Christmas Eve, and I've got a good feeling this year. I haven't gotten a thing under my tree for the past 4 years I've been trapped in limbo. But this year feels special. I've been an especially good boy this year, and damn it, if the man upstairs, if the divinity crate, if freaking Ostermouse can find me here in limbo, so can freaking Santa Claus! This is it. This is the year. I can feel it. For it all to end. Not like this. I need a miracle. I need a miracle. I need a miracle. I need a miracle.